So for Concert Journal number 10, on February 22nd, 2024, we went to the Machine Killer Tour with Static X, Sevendust, Dope, and an opening band, Lines of Loyalty, which we saw at the Cleveland Agora. So this was kind of a repeat of the exact same, I won't say the exact same kind of this concert last time, because we saw Static X and Dope, but they were with Fear Factory last time. So they just swapped them out and put in Static X, Sevendust. So this is kind of a repeat for it, but we were happy to go see them because we enjoyed it last time. So the Cleveland Agora, we were able to get street parking again because we don't want to pay $20 for it. And one new thing to kind of help keep track of during these concerts is how much did this concert cost? So the actual ticket price, minus anything being added to it, was $39.50, which, to be honest, that's a great price. We're going to see 4 bands for $40. And then they added a $14.50 fee on that. So that was a crazy markup. I mean, not that this is like unusual. I think we should all kind of be used to that by now. But when you start looking at that, that's just ridiculous. So again, relatively cheap show to see the 4 bands. And the opening band was
Lines of Loyalty, which they're a metal band from Kenosha, Wisconsin.
Yeah.
And they're also like Cultus Black, which is the opener the last time we saw them. They're not very well described. So we just know there's metal of some genre. We don't know what.
Yeah. Yeah, so like on your socials, don't give us the backstory of you. I mean, maybe include that, but be very descriptive of who you are and what you do, your style, you know, maybe even what your inspirations were. We take inspiration from the following bands, whatever, just to help describe it. And there's like nothing. So actually did we do any research? I didn't. Did you look into them before we went?
I did not.
No. Okay. So we were absolutely cold turkey on this one. We knew nothing going in. So what'd you think?
They were pretty good. I was actually surprised on how good they were because like, again, at least from their name, I had like no idea what genre they were going to be, what they were going to sound like. And they started playing. I was like, it's pretty cool. I like this.
Yeah. But then one of the best things, which is the same thing that Cultus Black did when we went to the show last year, was
they announced they'd be at the merch stand so you could meet them.
Yeah.
So we went down there, but the first time they went there and they said they're eating right now or something, and they'll be back after Sevendust. So we went there and we met 2 of the members, and then after the show we met the lead singer, who was the only one that wasn't there.
Yeah. So again, I mean, it's great outreach for them and gives you an opportunity to, I don't know, meet the band and, and just thank them for the performance, all that stuff. That was a nice start. I think we were pleasantly surprised and we had a good time with that. So they came and went, and then Dope, which is now, this is the second time we've seen Dope, and actually the performance was probably 95% similar to the last time. But again, still high energy, and Edsel Dope does a good job of like working the crowd. So that was enjoyable. And then finally Sevendust, which was our big new band, I guess, to see in concert.
So again, another metal band from Atlanta. And we found out this surprisingly after, but it's still the original lineup from the first album.
Yeah, the fact that they've been going this long and they're keeping the lineup for it is, I mean, that's a real feat, actually, I think.
And you even look on Wikipedia where they have like the timeline of all the members, and they've only changed members like twice or something, and like their whole like 30 years of being a band or something. Yeah,
and then they've since changed back to the original lineup. Yeah. So there was a brief period where they had a different band member there, but so that was a great show. So I'd never seen them. I knew them from, again, back in the 90s, and of all the shows that we've seen there, they've got to be the loudest band. Like it was a wall of noise. Like not like, a muddled thing. Like you could still hear the music, but man, it just blasted you.
Yeah, I mean, we were like 100 feet back or something. You could still like feel the kick drum like in your chest, and I'm like, man, if you're front row, there's no way you can hear anything.
Earplugs are mandatory. So it was a great show, high energy. that was awesome.
Only thing about them was that the first song they opened with was
Yeah.
it was a terrible choice. It was like had this weird like 2 minute long like ambient intro. It's like it was just a terrible choice. But
Yeah, it didn't.
It
like,
got better after that.
Yeah, you wanted to come in and really kick it off, and it was just kind of, slowly built into crescendo. So it was a little an odd choice, but whatever. And then finally, Static X, which is now the second time that we've seen them, and it was a great show. So they had this, I guess I don't want to call it a theme because they never actually use it again, but there was this evil disco opening. So it was kind of a Halloween themed, and they had this like tall character, let's say that was 10 feet tall. We'll have the video, but and then Vincent Price was doing a creepy voiceover for it, and then they did this thing where it said evil disco, and the thing is that they never actually referenced that again in the rest of the concert. So like, and it was weird that like, what is this, the Evil Disco tour, which it's not. It was kind of weird, but anyway, it was a cool opening.
Yeah, maybe if you're like deep in like the Static X lore or something, it makes more sense or something.
Yeah,
but I don't know.
Yeah, but it was a cool intro with all of that. Similar set. There weren't really any surprises on that.
They just played like what I thought was surprising is they're kind of touring for their new album they released. I don't remember the name of it, but they only played one song off of it, which I thought was weird.
Yeah.
Like they didn't, because they released a single for it, and they didn't even do all the singles, which I thought was weird.
Yeah, and they're running into that problem where you have a longer and longer back catalog. But again, you kind of need to front load it, because we were happy to see that with Metallica when Metallica, played a healthy collection of stuff off of 72 Seasons. So you want a little bit more of the new stuff, and then it's supported by the classics that you like. So we were in the balcony for the first three.
Yeah.
Right? And then so you were itching to get down to the floor. So we had GA seating. We didn't, that's why the tickets were cheap. So we just went down to the floor. And then you went to like the center of the floor for the last two songs. Again, those days are over for me. So
yeah, but since it was the end, people were leaving. So at the beginning, I was like in the back, and then at the end of this set, I made it to like the middle of like the floor.
Yeah.
In like a minute.
Yeah. Anyway, so that that was you got an opportunity to get out into the floor during their show, so that part was pretty awesome. So yeah, overall, all the bands did great. It was a great performance. Okay, to rate the bands, so the first one, Lines of Loyalty, first time seeing them opening band. I felt they had a great like opening band presence. They're engaging, saying who they were and all that stuff. So I think they were a solid green for me.
Yeah, I gave them a green too. I really liked them.
Yeah, that was awesome. And then we went into Dope.
Green, second time seeing them. Liked them the first time. Liked them this time too.
They're
good.
Yeah, I think this is one of those bands. If they tour and come through once a year, we'll probably end up going and seeing them because it's a pretty good show. So it's a green. And then Sevendust, first time seeing them. I want to say I'm surprised because I've enjoyed the music that I know, but I was surprised like how great of a concert it was. So that was a solid green. I'd love to see them again.
I would give them a yellow. They were good live, but I'm not like the biggest Sevendust fan. I think they're okay.
Yeah.
It's like if they're playing, it'd be cool to see them, but I'm not like going out of my way to see them.
Yeah. Okay. Fine. I'll drive myself. And then lastly, Static X.
Green, second time seeing them. Great both times.
Yeah. They have a great show. And I think the last time we did our journal on this, we couldn't remember if Edsel Dope or Wayne Static or Zero, I'm sorry, whatever he's calling himself now, talked. And he did have some, he did talk to the crowd. He didn't wasn't doing like a robot voice or anything like, hello, I'm Zero, but nothing like that. But no, but it helps, engage the crowd and all that stuff. So that was definitely a green.
But when he was talking during Zero, you could really tell he was Edsel Dope because he sounded exactly the same.
Well, at some point, just admit to it. It's just happening. So, yeah. So that was a good show. Okay, so merch for this show. So the line was long. but like 99% of the line was there for Static X.
Yeah.
So there's 4 bands, and then we had to wait in line to get Static X, but all the other bands you could actually just kind of cut around the line and go straight to the front of that table because there was basically no one there. And the one thing too is that this was the first time, so the venue, the Agora in Cleveland, they were selling their own merch. They had their own little table, and they had a sweatshirt and a t-shirt. And I asked them, like, now they're not selling it online. And we've since learned that they don't control their own website for some reason, and then so they can't put it through that. So it's great. I wouldn't mind buying it, but I hate to go to a show where I'm already spending $100, and then you're like, you want to blow another 30 for a venue t-shirt, and you're like, this is not a good time. I'm already spending it. So I don't know. We'll keep it in the back of their mind. They said they're going to do it every show, so that was kind of new. And they did do the coat check and the merch checks. If you bought stuff, you could pay $5 and then just pick it up at the end of the show. Okay, so the merch for this, what did you end up selecting?
I got a Static X shirt, which had the Static X side of the poster they were using.
And that was, so it's kind of keep track of these. So that was $40, right? And then what else?
I got a Static X patch, which was $10.
$10. I went with a Sevendust t-shirt. I like the styling of it. It was it's kind of a yellow on the black background, which is always striking. And then they had the dates in the back. So that was $40. And then the patch that I got for Static X, the Evil Disco, was kind of neat. And that was $10. So in total, that was $100 for that. But then on top of that, because we ended up going back to the merch when we heard that Lines of Loyalty was going to, the band members were going to be there, we ended up going and buying a CD for $20 and then had all the band members sign it and got our photo with them. So that was pretty awesome. So we weren't planning on that purchase, but after watching them, they made a fan or two, and then we ended up buying the CD. So that was kind of a neat addition.
The only thing though was I feel like the CD price was only really worth it if you got it signed. Like $20 for a CD is kind of like pushing it. Like 15 would have been good.
Right, yeah, if I was just buying just the CD, $10-15, but to get it signed, and to be fair, like, you aren't guaranteed getting it signed. We just happened to go back and get it signed, where everybody else, if you bought it and just happened to miss the moment that they were there, then you wouldn't have come away with that. So yeah, that's something to keep in mind. So I can't remember if it was in line, but you ended up seeing Cultist Black represented.
Yeah, I saw a guy with a battle jacket, and he had, first I just noticed his pin, and then when I showed him that I had a Cultist Black patch, he's like, hey, I have the same patch too. And then later when we were, I don't know, going somewhere, I shimmied past the guy, and I saw that he had a Cybertronic Spree patch, which means we saw 2 people there that we probably saw at other shows.
Yeah, that was kind of neat to see some of the smaller bands represented in patches, and it just goes to show, like, I mean, it's a great advertisement. Like, you can only pick one shirt for a show, but if you have a jacket with patches, you can represent
band as much as you want.
Yeah, a couple dozen bands if you can find the space. So again, it would be nice to see more bands have at least a cheap patch, $5-10 that you can throw on a jacket or something like that. Okay, so the first for this concert, so it wasn't the venue, it wasn't Static X, it wasn't Dope, but it was the first time seeing
Sevendust and Lines of Loyalty.
Lines of Loyalty, yeah. So that was fun. And then actually also kind of on a personal note, that this is the first time that your uncle was able to join us for this concert, or one of these concerts. I mean, we've done concerts with him in the past, but since we've kind of started doing a journal, this is the first time. Oddly enough, this is his first time going to a show at the Agora.
Yeah.
Which, growing up in Northeast Ohio, probably been to a couple dozen concerts through the 90s and 2000s, and he's never made it to the Agora. And I think it's my most visited venue. It's crazy. I could not believe that he had never made that. So anyway, that was kind of a fun bonus that he could join us from out of town. So overall review. So the venue.
Again, green. This is like our Billings show here.
Yeah, this is our go-to venue. So that's a solid green for the Agora. And then the merch.
I'd give it a green. I thought it was pretty good. They had a good mix of like everything. They had like patches, stickers, shirts, posters. It was good.
Yeah, so they had stuff at kind of every price point you could get a relatively cheap patch, CDs, and all that stuff up through the t-shirts. And actually, the fact that like a t-shirt was $40, which seems to be like the concert minimum is 50, so to save a little money there, it actually helps. So that was definitely a green. So another thing to talk about is the value for this. So the tickets in total for just the two of us, that was $108 for the two of us to get in. Now this was a cheap show because the tickets were originally $40, but then you throw in the fees and we're out basically $110 for this. And then the merch for a shirt for each of us and a patch ended up being and the CD was $120. So in total, it was basically $230 to go to this show. Which, like when you say that, that's so much money. Like we go to one show a month, right? And so, man, but but then you go back and go, well, technically it was only $40 without the fees. That seems cheap for 4 bands. That's good value. Now, granted, any merch purchases is kind of like added damage, and you don't have to buy anything. So that's fair enough. But I mean, I'll give it a green for value just because $40 plus 4 bands. I thought that was pretty decent. Now, granted, you weren't paying for this because you don't have a job. So I don't know. What are your thoughts on value?
I don't know. I didn't pay for anything.
All right, fine. I will be the only one to give a rating for that and say that it was a green. And then lastly, the overall concert.
Green. Liked all the bands. Merch was good. Tour was good. Liked the venue. It was fun.
Yeah, all 4 bands did great performances. It's a solid green. And I mean, I don't know if this is going to be kind of a routine tour. I mean, this is 2 years in a row that we've seen the Static X Dope show, and they bring in another band or two. I hope they keep it up because at that price point, I would happily go back and see whatever new iteration of this concert tour is. So yeah, solid green. That was a lot of fun. So overall, it was a good time. That was our first concert for 2024, right? So that was a good way to kick it off. So hopefully they stay just as cheap and just as enjoyable. Okay, that's it for this one. Thanks for watching.